Hello and welcome to Living Spark, a project of the Spark of Humanity Network. I am your host, Danielle O'Hallisey, and today joining us in the studios of Orca Media is Martha Holden, who you'll remember from the Living Mosaic series that she had done until the beginning of this year. It's really a treat to have her in this space again, and we're going to be talking about this whole Spark of Humanity thing, and we have a special discussion for today. But first, I always like to start things off by reading just a little bit, sometimes a random bit, from what I like to call the statement of principle, the basic foundation of the Spark of Humanity practice. And today I'm going to start at the beginning of that statement so that we can set the tone of what we're going to be discussing. The insight that there is a spark of humanity in everyone is the foundation of the Spark of Humanity Network. We have discovered that as we connect with and affirm the spark in others, we are claiming our personal sparks and becoming agents of transformation. I don't need to go on any further than that because that covers the point of today's discussion. Now, anyone who's followed this series knows that far from being a teacher, I am a fumbling student. My purpose being to set myself up with a bit of homework to try to nurture my own spark by seeing and affirming that in others, looking for opportunities. We've discussed generosity, we've discussed conflict, a few other things over the course of this year so far. And the last time we met, it was 4 weeks ago. I wasn't able to join you 2 weeks ago, but 4 weeks ago, I set myself the homework assignment. Always do that. It always sets me up with something to discuss for the next time. I set myself up with the homework assignment of focusing on strengthening, nurturing the spark in others, nurturing the spark in myself. And it is specifically the phrase claiming my spark that I had found and frankly continue to find rather challenging is the least of it. Yes, I'm just starting my timer now. I have to kind of keep track of my own timing, so I'll be a little bit off today because I started late. But anyway, the idea of claiming my spark. I fumble with it. I don't quite get it. I don't quite ever feel like I'm claiming anything. And that is why we have Martha here today. I'm going to ask some questions. You're going to try to answer them and try to convince me that I'm missing the point or that I can get the point. Maybe that's where we need to start, is just the idea that I even can get the point of claiming my spark. That's a pretty good place to start. Do you have anything to maybe speak to that difficulty that I'm having with this?
Well, I'm not surprised, Danielle, that you have some difficulty. The use of the word claiming or claim was not one that came easily. I was sitting on the front lawn of Kellogg Hubbard Library in downtown Montpelier with Sue Bettman, who is a great help and supporter in the beginning phases. She still is, but at that point she was particularly important. And we were struggling to find the word that we could use for, how might you claim your spark? And she had a thesaurus maybe on her phone or her laptop, and we went through a variety of words, and finally the one that we could agree on was claiming. So it's not easily intuitive. It wasn't intuitive for either of us, so it's not surprising that it's not intuitive for you or anybody else. But we've been doing the Spark of Humanity meditation practices on basically every other Sunday. I personally have become more familiar with it, and so I feel more comfortable with it, particularly because it's become so clear that we cannot, and I appreciate what you said about that, that we don't claim our spark in isolation. The way I can claim my spark is by connecting with and affirming the spark on someone else. And that's how, and there are people probably, I trust, I know, in your life whose spark of humanity you can agree is there. You know it's there. And as you connect and affirm their spark, maybe you can start feeling yours more vibrantly. And that's, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just acknowledging that. Let me throw in a different, this is really a different lane, and I apologize for the fact that I'm switching lanes, but it was an experience I had within the last week that maybe speaks to where this problem is in myself, the blockage, the claiming. I attend teachings at a Buddhist temple where I am literally, I'm not making this up, I'm not being falsely humble. I am not even a beginning student. Been going there for 3 years, and I'm not a beginner. There are certain teachings and rituals that one would go through to become that. I've not done them. I haven't qualified for them yet. But I have this little thing that they sent me one of the many times that I've been really sidelined by my poor health. I don't talk about this a lot, but I've had 6 heart attacks and all the resultant stress and psychological problems adapting to that, having to quit working. Anyway, this is a Medicine Buddha amulet, which you will note is enclosed. I've never seen it. It's inside of a little wrapper. And so there are chants that they do that are about healing. And I have tried to learn those. I don't speak Tibetan, so that's really difficult. But I've tried to like direct that into myself. I've tried. And at most I feel, and this is not nothing, I'll feel less stressed. And that feels like healing to me. That's not bad. But this week, because the Dalai Lama is turning 90, this month, I can't remember exactly the date. We spent an hour sort of just watching the monks perform a ritual. We just watched them and listened and tuned in, but we weren't really doing anything. And they were chanting the long life prayer and the prayer to the Medicine Buddha. They were chanting that for the Dalai Lama. And the instruction was to follow along as well as you could, but to offer healing prayers to the Dalai Lama, not to ourselves. And in doing that, I experienced the most profound sense of internal healing for my own.
Okay.
So that brings me full circle in my rambling way to the term claiming the spark.
Right.
As long as I've been trying to claim healing with the self-grasping, that's another Buddhist term, that I bring to the table, with the idea that I'm going to get this thing and bring it in and have healing.
Right.
It's been at best a very weak, it's like, yeah. But suddenly to be offering it and to, I had on almost a vision, like a clarity around, like this is a person who's brought so much, whether you believe in Buddhist stuff or not, it's just, he's brought such a sense of peace and generosity to the world. And then it was like I was suddenly claiming my healing. And I think we're talking the same language. And I didn't see it coming. I didn't see that coming.
Perfect. I'm glad you didn't. Yeah, that I couldn't put it any better. Thank you. That fits in just right. And in the meditation practices, we say just to get away from our sense of attachment to our feeling about who we are and our place in reality, that we're each unique energy events within the ever-evolving, multidimensional dance of all being. So, bits of my energy are flying off to the Dalai Lama and vice versa, and Desmond Tutu and whoever. So the only way I really know where my spark of humanity is, which I think of as the essence, the core, the the Orthodox Jewish or the Hasidic talk about the God seed, the seed of God in each one of us. It's that same general spark of humanity is the language we use, but it's that same concept. And so how do I know I have it unless I'm giving it away? Because that's the only way I can feel the dynamic, because it's alive. It's nothing concrete, it's nothing I can pin down. And so you're perfectly, yes, it's in giving it, it's in working, embedding ourselves in that dynamic of giving it away. And which is why, like the Tibetan Buddhists, with the meditation we do, we start with those who are easy, claiming our spark in reference to them. And then we move on to those who are more difficult and challenging.
Yeah, I want to point to the current newsletters that have been coming out, and the every other Sunday Spark practice, which is no longer, or not currently being guided. It's not call in this number or watch this on Zoom. It's a sort of self-guided period of time with a topic, with an understanding that we're doing a particular practice. And I felt rocked to my core with your most recent invitation, because it was something that's been really present in my own thinking recently. That let's just broaden it a little bit. It's not exactly what you had said, but broaden it to politicians who are perhaps perceived by many as being antagonistic to peace and grooviness here on planet Earth, and to rather than to try to put up a wall against them,
Right.
and then find our spark beyond the safety of that.
Yeah.
Yes, that we would instead look for the humanity in them and seek to reinforce their humanity, and in the same moment try to claim our own humanity a little bit better.
Right, yeah, but it's not look for the humanity in them. I think that would be very difficult. And, maybe not politicians, but people in political office is a better way to put it.
Yes.
People in office. Because knowing, as we say in the spark literature, that all sparks are made of the same stuff.
Mm.
And sparks have a natural affinity for each other. So when I begin to open up my defenses, my distortions, my bafflement, so my spark naturally has an affinity for the spark in that person. And so it will draw my attention to the spark in that person, so that I might affirm and connect with that spark to strengthen that person's spark. And trust me, this exercise strengthens my spark, because I can tell over the time that we've been doing this that my defenses are becoming eroded, my distortions are being released, my bafflement is being clarified. So it's a be willing to follow my spark. It's not a cognitive cerebral sort of a thing. There's something in here. Some people think it's their heart. Some people think it's whatever it is. But it's got an affinity with that in every other human being, including people that we think are not into joy and grooviness for the rest of us.
Indeed. All right, I'm trying to swim with that and keep the discussion moving, because it's a beautiful discussion and it's helping me a lot. And I'm hoping that if anyone else is tuning in, whether it's in the moment or at some point in the future through the miracle of YouTube and Orca Media's website, or however they might be stumbling upon this, I'm hoping that they find this as moving and as helpful as I'm currently doing. Yes, we are. Again, I go to a meditation group with these Tibetan monks. They do a whole thing where we're just doing a breathing exercise, which is accessible to anyone. There's no beliefs required. This is just a long breathing thing. And then we do a brief thing where um, we picture first around ourselves. There's a visualization, and the first thing we do is picture those that we love and trust,
Yeah.
and that we feel warmth for and warmth from.
Mm-hmm.
We spend a little time with that. And then the very next thing is, and they use this word, which surprised me, picture your enemies or those that you find less agreeable or more difficult to interact with. Picture them arrayed in front of you. And it's like, dude, like you just got me to a beautiful, happy place. Like, why do I want to see those faces? And then, of course, it expands to all living beings in all realms. So think of that as spiritual beings in hells, beings in paradises, beings here on earth, your dog, your cat, the rat out in the alleyway, whatever. Like all of that. And I only get to the wall of faces that I either want to slap or I want to put up a wall between me and those. Like
Yeah.
that is where it shuts down
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You and many others.
Mhm.
And I think that's instinctive. I mean, that's part of, and I've heard many people, well, we're human beings. That's what we do. Let's just deal with it. My experience, though, through this practice is that as I claim my spark in reference to that first group, the warm, fuzzy, lovable, caring people, and just gradually, practice stretching to people that are, situations that are painful to me. Not that they're my enemies, but just, I'm concerned about them, so there's a pain. So connect with and affirm the sparks there, and then, connect with and affirm the grumpy guy at the gas station, but gradually. I mean, it can take weeks, it can take months to develop the practice to where that wall does not automatically go up, because what I've found, and I'm not the only one, I just happen to be the only one here talking with you, is that as I do that work, that gradual accretion of claiming my spark, of understanding that my spark cannot be put out. It cannot be corrupted. It cannot be extinguished. It cannot be polluted. It is an essential thing, non-thing, that has its integrity, and it cannot lose its integrity. Everything around it geologically can be incredibly messed up, but the spark itself is fine. And when I get in touch with that, when I have claimed my spark enough, so every time I claim my spark in reference to anybody, my spark becomes stronger. I'm trying to strengthen their sparks, of course, because I want to fix them. I'm fine. I want to fix them. However, when I'm trying to fix them using this medium, I myself am becoming fixed. Oh my heavens, who knew I needed to be fixed? So then over time, it's easier, and I can go forward. It takes a while to have my defenses sufficiently eroded and have enough of a conviction within myself that my spark cannot be harmed regardless of what anybody's doing.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that's coming to mind is how when I'm confronted with that in myself, the defenses and the ways that those are perhaps not serving me, that the next step for me, and I think this is also a step for a lot of people, is to then focus on the defenses, as though one by one I might at least address them or weaken them or move them. Yeah. No, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Right in the moment, I'm hearing you. May I just remember it tomorrow when I sit down to meditate?
It's so I'm so grateful for having gotten this insight, and for the insight, and for having had an opportunity to play with it and expand it and let it grow and guide me, so that I can feel, yeah, no, worst thing we want to do is pay attention to the defenses. It's extinguishing behavior in a sense. I forget, behavior modification. I mean, there's some psychology around this stuff.
Yeah, and it can almost become like trying to put out fire with fire, or something like that. Focusing on the defenses can.
Yeah,
I'm going to aggressively deal with my tendency toward aggression.
right, right.
That's not exactly accurate, but it serves, I guess, as
It's similar, yeah, no, it's the dynamic that we do that, and to learn that, no, leave all that. It's so much simpler. When I focus on my spark and claim it, oh, I don't need to worry about all that stuff.
Yeah.
I am doing the crucial thing for me to participate in the coming of world peace, or the survival of the human enterprise on planet Earth, or whatever great cause I want to be supporting at this point. When I am doing what I can to claim my spark and strengthen it, I can't do anything more important than that, or more effective than that.
So I'm aware that we're running low on time, have just a few more minutes, and I'm getting some clarity around this. It's uncomfortable clarity because it asks me to stop trying to claim my spark and have it for myself, and it asks me to claim it. And that is a very different thing, and it's very different from what you use the word instinctively, and that's very appropriate. That it's the opposite of that. I guess what I'm wondering too is like, if somebody were to tune in here with 2.5 minutes left to this broadcast, and they were to encounter this, and you were going to say to them, start here, what would that look like for you?
Oh, probably go on the Spark website, www.sparkofhumanity.net, and look at the video, which is an animation of the Spark booklet, which has all this stuff about sparks having a natural affinity for each other and all being made of the same stuff. And once you sort of get that, or tune into Danielle, every couple of weeks whenever she shows up, it's a valuable thing. That's what I'd say. Start both those places. You can do them both often. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think if I offer anything, it's the spectacle of watching someone try to get things and repeatedly fail, but repeatedly try again. And I have had a number of very odd little interactions with people that would not have happened, I don't believe, had I not been doing this as a practice of my own. Ways of looking for the opportunity, and always begrudgingly. Trust me, Martha, you have not taught me something that makes me feel happy. It's more like I've got to do a show in a couple of days and I haven't done a thing to talk about, and I do go through a little bit of straining for that, but it has introduced me to people who are out begging for money that I wouldn't have taken a moment and talked to. It's also protected me in potentially difficult, maybe even harmful situations in an unexpected way. And I have talked about those here, and I don't know down to the second, but I do know that we're very close to signing off. So
according to the clock here, we have 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Oh, that's much better than my clock here. So I'm going to trust yours because you're in the Master Control Center, and I'm here in Seal Beach, California, by the way, which I always appreciate Orca Media for being able to rig together the tin cans and strings that it takes to communicate over the distance and get this out.
I want to affirm, Danielle, that's one of the gifts, because people listening to me talk about the spark say, oh my God, where do I grab hold of this? She makes it sound so easy. Because I've been living with this insight for, well, over 40 years. So, so it's had a chance to sort of work on me. So you're being willing to be on and host a show where you're showing the challenges and continuing to persevere is a huge gift to everyone who thinks that they might want to try this practice. So I'm very grateful that you're doing this.
All right. Well, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep making a fool of myself and also keep trying.
Thank
And
you.
I thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Danielle, for your hospitality.
Sounds good to me. Well, I gotta say, Martha, it's good to see your face. And this has been the most successful of these. I feel really good having this discussion with you in this thing. And yeah, yeah.
You feel the
I
need,
can't hear you anymore.
you
Oh, there you
can't hear
go.
me anymore? Okay.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
If anytime you feel the need again and I'm in the area here, it's all